Hey guys! So, today we're going to cover part 1 of what will eventually be 2 sessions talking about Hyperkeys mode. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with Hyperkeys, it's essentially a mode inside of Eclipse where every key on your QWERTY keyboard performs a different function. That can be anything from changing a word ending, deleting an entire word, removing a whole line if you want, changing speakers very easily, etc., etc. The sky is really the limit. So long as you have all your keys working on your keyboard, you can perform an amazing variety of features or functions while editing. And the truth is, if you're going to be a court reporter, it's like 50% taking it down, right, when you're taking down the record on your machine. The other 50%, you're going to spend a lot of time doing transcript editing. So it's really wonderful to have features that can make your job that much easier. There are 2 things I'm going to focus on today with Hyperkeys, just to kind of ease our way into it. One is navigating around the transcript. And the second is going to be adding or swapping out word endings. Let's talk about the first point. Now first, I really hope that you're keeping your hands on the home position on your keyboard. Now the reason I've hooked up my webcam to my neck is so that you can see my hands on the keyboard. Now the proper position is to have your 4 fingers on F or J respectively. This is called the home position. Now to get around inside of a transcript, I don't want you to see you going down to your little, you can see here inside of my webcam picture, your mouse pad, or heaven forbid, going over to your manual mouse and moving around clicking where you want to go. There's an incredibly convenient way to do it through Hyperkeys. Now that, I'm just going to call it navigation. Navigation consists of 4 directions: up, down, left, and right, naturally, right? Now where you can find that is with your right hand on home position. It's going to be these 4 keys, J, I, K, and L. Now if you look at them, sort of like that little Tetris piece we're all familiar with, it reflects these cursor, up, down, left, right arrows that you're familiar with. But the nice thing is, everything is kept right here in the home position. J will allow you to go left, jumping word to word. I will bring you up a line. K will bring you down a line. And L will bring you right a line. It might seem very unusual to you. Those of you who might be computer gamers, this will be very familiar, but this is honestly a wonderful way to run around your transcript when you're in the process of editing. The worst thing you can do is while you're editing is to have your hands here, maybe doing a little like adding some new words, and then, I have to, move around here or with my mouse and then go back and then, rinse, repeat. That's not what we want to do. Ideally, you're going to keep your hands on the home position and you're not going to move them from there. Everything can be done from here. So that's my goal, is I want you to become more familiar with navigation. Remember, it's just your 3 fingers on your right hand with these 4 buttons or keys, J, I, K, and L. So just take a moment, you can put pause and, pull up a transcript you might have on hand and go up with I, down with K, over to the right with L, and over to the left with J. That was part 1. Now we're going to talk about ending or swapping out some endings using the W. Can you see it right there? With my ring finger. Now the W in Eclipse, Hyperkeys mode, it stands for word ending. I personally like to think of it as which ending, because obviously you can swap out the ending you want. How it works is that when you navigate to the beginning of a word, let's have the word meeting, press W. That will bring up the prefix and suffix window. Now from here, what you can do manually is, actually first, let's get an understanding of what's happening on the right-hand side. It's a column of different letters of the alphabet, which correspond to your QWERTY keyboard, as well as the ending that will be added if you press this key. Now you can do it very manually and, let's say meeting, I want to be plural, meetings. Oh, okay, well, I want, there it is. I want the plural S. Oh, okay, I press S. There you go. And you can press OK. And you can see that Eclipse will add the plural S ending to your word. Now that can take a little bit of time. So a little bit of a quicker way to do it is take advantage of those one-letter shortcuts that are shown inside that dialog window. Again, I've navigated up to the word horse. W, and now I know that the shortcut key is S. Boom, I've added a plural. How easy is that? Now you can see that I have two transcripts open. This first one is word endings prac. I made this to allow students to practice adding the S ending to words by going along and pressing WS, 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 WS. How easy is that? Now, if you haven't received this already, you're more than welcome to email me and I will just send it to you. Next, I talked about the ED ending. Now, I should first tell you, let's take a look at that, the prefix and suffix window once more. Again, I press W in Hyperkeys. There are a lot of endings to memorize. So, for the sake of simplicity and because I find it to be the most useful, we're focusing on what I call the triforce of the word endings. The triforce consists of S for plural endings, ED, of course, for past tense, and ING for the it's currently happening gerund form of verbs. There are many others that you can get a hold of later. It takes time to memorize, of course, but for the sake of this class, I only focused on 3. And that's why my little document I created focuses on the S ending, the ED ending, and down here is the ING ending. So I'm just going to put pause for a moment while I get things ready. If you don't have this already, I can email it to you. And if you haven't gone through it already, take a moment to get into the habit of, again, navigating around with the first 3 fingers on your right hand to a word, and then pressing W and then the key for the word ending that you want. In this case, I'm in the ING. So what I'm doing is I'm getting to a word and I'm pressing WG. Now actually, I had this little instance here. I'm not sure if you saw what just happened, but the word was weights. Now that's assuming that while I was writing along, I put wait and I came back for my G ending and oopsie doodly, I pressed the S ending by accident. Happens to us all. Certainly happens to me a lot. And that's why I absolutely love the W Hyperkeys, because very quickly I can simply go WD, change it to weighted, the weighted guess, incorrect, whatever, WG, perfecto. So take a moment and get familiar with using WS to add the S plural ending, WD for the past tense ED ending, and WG for the ING ending. Now, once you have a pretty good grasp of the triforce of S, ED, or ING endings, you're going to find some instances where you wish you could not only add the endings, but you could remove them. Look at this sample sentence, for example. There were many casing of wine left out in the sun. Now, I don't want it to be casing, I want it to be cases. Well, I'm going to think, just going to go over there and press WS. Oh, oops. I thought it was going to swap out the ending, but it just added to it. Well, casings is technically a word, so I can't really blame Eclipse. This is just an example of where you might want to have the ability to remove an ending before you start adding the ones you want. Another thing that can happen a lot is if you're typing along or writing along on your machine and you just go crazy with your right hand and you start adding an ED ending and an ING ending followed by an S ending all at the same time. I've done it. Maybe you've done it. Let's learn how to get rid of those endings. Now, if you are attending the class or you're on my mailing list, you received this text file. Now, I learned all this information from other court reporters, and thus I've been in a position to pass this information on to them. It's happened so often, I just made a text file for it. When you get in here, what I want you to do is copy these 3 lines of code. Copy. When you're inside of Eclipse, you would go Alt-U into User Settings. Go to the Programming tab, and from here, we're going to look at the Prefix and Suffix Definitions window. Double-click it to bring this up, which is essentially a lot of really imposing-looking codes that explains to Eclipse how to properly add endings in light of all the different letters and endings that words already come with. Now, what you have is those 3 lines of code copied, right? Go to the very top and press Enter to give yourself some space. Here is where you're going to paste those 3 lines of text. When you are done with that, don't worry about the line. Eclipse will get rid of that automatically. You would just press OK. Now I already have my lines in there, so I'm just going to press cancel, but trust me, you would press OK, without saying OK, OK, back all the way out. You have your 3 new lines of programming in Eclipse. Congratulations. Now what do you do from here? When you're inside of a transcript, again, you're in Hyperkeys. Press W to bring up the prefix and suffix window. What you're going to do next is add 3 more entries onto this right-hand column that didn't exist before. Now, if you take a quick look at my document, you can see the breakdown here, where it's been advised to me to use these 3 letters, X, V, and J. Well, they certainly weren't being used before. Might as well use them now. Inside the shortcut window, press a capital X, meaning if you press X, you're then going to hyphen capital S means to remove the S ending. Once you have this input, press Add. You're going to see it appear here, and these will become blank. Again, I've done them, so I'm just trying to explain to you. The next one you would add is capital V, hyphen capital D, meaning if you press V, it will remove the D ending, or the ED ending, I should say. Capital J shortcut, the text should be hyphen capital G. Now, I might be wondering, what does all this mean? It's so, mumbo jumbo. Essentially, those 3 lines of the hyphen and a letter, they correspond to this. This is a little code with the equal sign that then tells Eclipse, look at all this stuff. This is programming so that it knows how to appropriately remove the plural S ending from a variety of words, depending on how it ends. Now, trust me, I didn't make this. You don't really have to know how it works, but just know that's what it is, in case you're always curious. Once you've input those 3, again, one at a time, input the shortcut plus the text that I told you, and then press Add. Once you're all done, you are set. Let's look at it in action. K sings. Well, I don't want that plural S anymore. W, X. It removes it. Now I don't want that ing anymore. W, J. Wonderful. Now it's nice and clean. I just went over and I did WS and I added the S ending. In fact, I made an entire Word document to allow students to practice removing the S ending, removing the ED ending, and of course removing the ing ending. Now, although there are of course many different endings, I cannot emphasize enough how often these 3 get really messed up. That's why we've been focusing on them so much. Now that essentially covers everything I wanted to talk about just as an introduction to Hyperkeys. Now we covered what Hyperkeys is, of course, and then 2 really amazing and useful features of it. One is navigation. Does anyone remember how it works? That's right. Tetris key on the right hand. Up, down, left, right. And the second one was how to add endings by pressing W and then one of the 3 triforce we talked about. Maybe WS, WD, oop, that doesn't look good, or WG to change the endings. And then lastly, I shared with you how to add some special lines of code so that you could then remove it. How wonderful is that? Of course, we could do WJ. That will remove the IG ending. WV. Whoops, that doesn't look good, but trust me, it usually works well. Removes the ED ending. And if I want to put a little S in there, then I would do WX to remove the S ending. I hope this helps you guys. When you're editing your transcripts, it should make things a lot more easy and smoother. And next week, we are going to be talking about the transcript from hell. How appropriate now that we're getting into October, which is Halloween season. We're going to be covering a lot of different Hyperkeys then. So for now, I hope that what you learned today helps a lot. Thank you and good luck.